Alright. Hey there, adventurers. I'm Norwolf. Welcome to my tabletop role-playing realm. And to my episode 3 of Powers and Perils solo play. As with the last session, I will be fantasy grounds to help with the dice rolls and maps, referencing the PDFs of any books that I use, using the Excel spreadsheets for the two characters, and keeping track of things, generally what's happening in my OneNote journal. So, when last we left our intrepid adventurers, Gildor and Raffin spent a few days in their home village of Sylvanheart, where Gildor effected repairs on his axe and both his armor and Raffin's armor. While he was doing that for a few days, Raffin spent that time just training his shield skill. Flip over to the map here. So this is Sylvanheart. When left off on the 23rd of May. Yeah, the 23rd of May. It was a windy, drizzly day. They were at the inn having their morning repast with some tea and coffee or whatnot. And in talking with the innkeeper, heard that one of the guards that was in the night before was talking about an orc problem, Gold Edge. And so the two of them thought next day, assuming weather's all right, that they would head off on their journey there. And so they spend the rest of the day just getting their gear together, cleaning things up, all the rest, getting provisions, and they'll head off the next morning. So let's switch over to the calendar here. It's going to be the 24th. Let's see, I've added another step to my daily steps, allocating any skill gains from outdoor travel and stuff like that, so survival, hunting, foraging, anything of the sort. And so we start with update the weather, my handy weather table. We'll do a roll here, and we've got a 7. Sends us up and the right. That makes it a windy, slightly cloudy, or light cloud day. Still fine traveling weather. Windy with light. Awesome. Okay, now for the actual are down here in Sylvanheart. They'll be traveling up the road to Old Ink Tavern in Moonquay and over to Gold Edge. Likely 4 days, depending what happens. They head off on the road. They will be doing some hunting along the way. Head off Tavern in. Okay. So let's start with, actually, let's first touch on the travel side of things. The movement on page 7, rules. So strategic movement is the kind of overland movement on a large scale. Typically, your strategic maps will have a 20-mile hex. Each strategic turn will be 12 hours, so you have a daytime turn and a nighttime turn. And of course, the phases are just a tactical thing in alien combat. So on a strategic turn, you can move in miles, your base movement rate. General rule. Gildor has a base of movement rate of 12. Raffin has Gildor's is 13. Raffin's is 12. So, there's two options here on the rules. You can either go by movement rate or by just saying, you're walking, doing 10 miles per strategic turn. If you're riding, it's 20 miles. If you're flying, it's... So for the moment, I'm going to go with that. If Raffin's and Gildor's movement rates get up to 15, then I'll bump that up to 15 miles a day. But typically, I'll assume that they're, potentially some foraging, stopping to rest, or scenery, whatever else. So the other thing it says here is that, the referee can modify these values based on terrain. So one of the things that's got here is some terrain movement modder. So the way to read this table is it's the number of movement factor or movement rate points per mile. So for plains, you have a movement rate of 10, you can move 10 miles. In the Badlands, you have a movement rate of 10, you can move 5 miles. So it basically takes 2 movement. And again, these can be further modified by things like heavy snow, or deep snow, heavy snowfall, rainfall, strong winds, things that are nasty to travel in. And then also modified by, following a road. Essentially, you're doubling your movement rate, or following a trail, you're, increasing your movement rate by about 20. So we'll be using this. So they are traveling through the woods, through a forest on a road. Forest is 2 movement rate per hex, or per mile, I mean. And so, theory, following the road, they can miles. That gets them just shy getting over to the end. And I think they're just going to push their movement or travel for that day and ensure that they get to the end sometime. Like I said, they're going to hunt along the way. So let's start with the hunting. So hunting is on page 3. So typically during a strategic turn, you'll either choose to move, either turn normal movement, you choose to hunt, search, or camp, or you'll be camped. Nighttime movement mode, or lack of movement mode. So, although in hunting here, to gain the full benefits of full chance of hunting, you have to spend the entire day in the strategic X doing your hunting. For a party that wants to move while hunting, you're down here, it's basically saying that your hunting chance is reduced by 50% round down, and then there's other modifiers. So I'm basically going to be rolling the hunting chance here, and also rolling for an typical encounter for the travel that through the forest. So the hunting, next page here, in the forest has a base 50% chance with base yield of 5. And the base chance of 50% plus the highest survival EL for forest from our party members here is going to be likely Gildor. Gildor's forest survival is 8. So that's going to be 24 added to the 50. Means, and then halved round down because while traveling. Going to be, what is it? 12 and 50? 12 and 25? 37? We have a 37%. Oops. 37% chance. Out here, 41. Hunting. That's not a it's not a success, but it is a partial. So partial success is if you're within 25% of the roll that you're. So you're getting the success yield, which is base yield, which is 5, times number of hunters, 2, so base 10 plus 8, so 18. So they are getting 6, 6 food points. Doing math on the fly, always fun. So they gained. I'm assuming they're kind of cooking things up. Probably be able to use that for the next day, maybe 2. Considering Raffin needs 4 food points per day. Gildor needs half a food point, being an elf. So that'll be gone fairly quickly. And the other bit of a ruling I'm doing here is, assuming they get to the end tonight, they'll be buying food and drink at the end. So I'm gonna just say that their food point requirement for the day is halved. So using tavern, they'll be using 2.5 points of that, or 2.25 points. So eventually they'll have some extra food to go anyways. So that takes care of the hunting. And now for the encounter chance. So our encounter is, we're in the forest, page 230. I'm not a big fan of these encounter tables. In the Perilous Lands, I think they would be more than appropriate for that type of setting. For my own little kingdom setting here, I'm likely going to do some modifications or come up with my own encounter tables. I don't mind the percent chance during the day here, or the day and night, but the actual encounters themselves, not necessarily a fan of. I think, some of for me, it doesn't quite match my setting. So, depending on what I roll here, if there is an encounter, I may be modifying it or re-rolling a bit. I'm fine with the animals. And it might be a bit of a use from some of these, the giants, dragons, things like that. Chances are if they see or hear of a dragon or giant somewhere, they're probably going to hide. So anyways, let's see what we get. So 1 to 10 is a creature, 11 to 25 is human encounter, otherwise encounter. 31, which is fine. So they make their way along the road and get to the inn, Old Inkpot Tavern. Probably sun's setting or just recently set, getting a little dim. And yeah, so it's late afternoon, early evening. The sun's warmth is past its glow for the day. Party emerges from the forest, sees Old Inkpot Tavern up ahead. It's a rustic inn, thatched roof and welcoming lanterns hanging outside. It stands beside the weathered road. Across from it is a small guardhouse with wooden walls slightly weathered as well, offering a sense of at least partial security in this remote location. Gildor and Raffin are quite familiar. Stop. Typically 2 or 3 guards here that stayed over the course of the day inside. The inn itself is run by a middle-aged man named Garrett. He's a portly and jovial man, a ruddy complexion, hearty laugh. Garrett is known for his excellent cooking skills, particularly his savory venison stew and freshly baked bread. He takes great pride in maintaining his tavern inn, providing a welcoming atmosphere for travelers. Garrett is assisted by his wife Eliza, who helps with serving and managing the tavern and inn. Eliza is a kind-hearted woman with making guests feel at home. Together they run the inn and ensure that it remains a popular stop for weary travelers passing through this area. This is the this for recognition, I guess. This is from the Reclusive Cartographer. It does have a patron site. This is the free map from his site. I basically found Google search. I like the map style. Highly recommend checking out some of their other map. So this and there's also second floor, main bar area, stables area, and then outside there's stairs. Now the illustrious weary travelers here, they make their way to the inn, open the door to the tavern area. They push the door open, it creaks, and they're greeted by a warm, inviting, cozy tavern is lit by a soft glow of lanterns hanging from the ceiling, casting a gentle light across the room. The scent of freshly baked bread and the simmering stew fills the air, making their stomachs growl in anticipation. To the right, they see a polished bar that stretches across the wall, adorned with five worn stools. Behind the bar, glass bottles of various shapes and sizes shimmer in the dim light. Garrett, the innkeeper, stands behind the bar with a friendly smile, ready to serve drinks. The main area of the tavern is dominated by 4 round wooden tables, each surrounded by 4 or 5 chairs. Patrons sit huddled together, engaged in hushed conversations, their faces illuminated by the soft candlelight on the tables. The low hum of chatter and occasional laughs fill the air, creating a comforting ambience. Few patrons raise their mugs and greet the travelers as they enter. They spot the odd familiar face. Been here several times in the past, and the atmosphere is welcoming. Old Inkpot seems like the perfect place to rest and recharge after their journey through the forest. Then they make their way over to one of the tables that happens to be empty at the moment, settle themselves in, and Eliza comes out from behind the back room, bar, and table, takes their orders. They'll order up the stew, of course, bread, freshly baked bread, and a couple of ales to go with it. We head over to equipment table, is page 63. Pardon me, I'm losing my voice here. Right. Oops. There it is. Lodging and entertainment. So this, I would say, your typical good inn. The lodging cost is 3 copper per person. Meal cost is 6 brass bits per person. And the ale is 1 brass bit, 8-ounce mug. So they'll order up a room. Rooms upstairs, a couple of them with 2 beds each. Beds in the room, so they'll order up a room. That's going to be a total of 6 copper, a couple of meals, another 12 brass bits. They'll probably have a couple of ales each, another 4 brass bits. Total of 16. So that's going to be 6. We'll just call that 8 copper coins with a little bit of a tip thrown in. Now, if we flip over to back to the journal, go to their treasure here. So I'm gonna knock off the 8 copper coins for take it out of their party treasure. So corrections as I mentioned at the start. On the leather repair, the Gildor repaired 7 points of damage on armor. That should have been 4 brass bits for each point. Only charge them 4 brass bits for 1 point. So I'm knocking off another 24 brass bits here. I'll look at a moment. Here, 2. And the repair of the banded ring mail, the banded ring armor, basically cost him 15 copper coins. We've caught up on the dealing with the coin side of things. And knock off the 8 coins for meal and lodgings. We're going to assume that after they spend the evening in the tavern area, it's it's a remote area, it's pretty quiet. Assume that nothing of particular interest. And the next morning, they'll head off again on their way to Boon Quay. On this next stretch, we're going to be traveling through the plains. Be able to easily make it to Boon Quay by the end of the time in the afternoon. And of course, what I was actually following along in my daily steps. On the 24th here, Gildor should have had a mana regen section. Moment. 6 on the 24th. And so this is the next day. So the 25th now. So, survival gains. So the previous day they traveled through the forest. So if they can, they'll get 1 for survival each. 1 expertise point in forest survival. Gildor can go to 9 now. Gets 1 partial there. Raffin, I think, is maxed out. Raffin, that L3, his maximum is 3, so he there. And they did do some tracking. Probably give Gildor some experience for that. Oh, I did. Never mind. So let's go back. Get our gains, state the weather. 2d6 roll on the got 2. Up and to the right. So they get a bit of a drizzle. Not necessarily pleasant weather, but cloudy with $25. And cloudy with drizzle. I don't think they're going to hunt today. Got that extra little bit of food. No sense in oil. And might actually create another section here for doing their food tracking. Have to flip to their character sheets all the time. We'll do that for the next time around. So, morning. The road north. All right. So, plains. Plains encounters are on page 5. So 1 to 7 is a creature, 8 to 20 is a human, and otherwise there's no notable event. So I do want, nice to get an encounter. 16. There we go, human encounter. Human encounters are on page 236. 360. Okay, so human encounter, number found is going to be a die 10 roll. And 4 is going to be a 2d6. 8. Going to be section B here, the multiple human encounter. We're going to say we're in a civilized area. I'll roll. We've got a 8 bandits. Well, this should be it. Okay, so road. What's the encounter? Encounters on the plains going to be 2d6 plus 20 hexes. Hexes 8. Of course, I just realized I hadn't flipped back to the PDF here. So, human encounter, I'd rolled a d10, got 6 here. 2d6 here, result of 8. An encounter table, 29 gives area. So, now bandits. So bandits in general are going to be, so in general, unless they are led by a dominant individual, bandits are poorly equipped, groups of men that raid targets of community within a fitted area. Available and usable plunder. Only leaders should be fitted better than armor as a rule. Bandit clubs, simple bows, spears, and daggers. Equipment is at the discretion of the referee. Okay, so let's see what we do with this. I think with 8 bandits running around, I have a feeling that avoid it. Distance is going to be planes 2d6. They are 26 hexes away. 26 hexes away. And we'll go to the setup on 2.5. So, planes. Okay, so counter setup and situation. Ambush. Any party may be ambushed by the counter if they're nature. Parties may not ambush. Camped chance is the ambush chance. Planes 20% plus the highest EL. I'm going to say these guys are probably not all that high. It's going to be probably 20% chance for each of us. Let's go with Gildor and Raffin. Not. And the other guys, do not ambush them back. So avoidance. Ambush chance times 3. The ambush chance times 3, so that's going to be 60 minus the number of entity. 52. And based on the distance apart, Gildor and Raffin are a bit of a bone. 260 feet apart. I think there's a pretty good chance that they probably one per hit, one per hit. 26. In avoidance. So managed to that encounter. And they continue traveling for that after the rest of that. probably that afternoon, sometime early afternoon. So I'm going to basically wrap it up here. Keep it relatively short session. I'll likely try and get another one in here in the next one from Edge. Boonquay itself, I have an old map for. I haven't had a chance to do the map. So this is again an old Judges Guild map. Added some buildings to it somewhere in the past, and it's got 2 buildings in there. Town hall, Taylor, horse. The name of that thing? Guy that sells horses and trains them, that sort of thing. Town. We'll pick up again in the next session when these guys settle themselves in for the night away and head out from there. So, anyways, thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully, somewhat informative. We'll see you next time. Great day.